Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Marcus from Team Takeover, and today I'm coming at you with a deck profile of my Son Goku SS3 leader deck that I played at my P2 Collectibles tournament today. Now, I never realized that we're getting content a day early, but that's because P2 has a Ball State University event that they have to go to tomorrow. So we had our tournament on Thursday today, and I got second place. I went 3-1 with this deck, and I got this awesome mat. I love this mat a lot. It's definitely one of my favorite mats. Overall, I think this mat looks like the best of the two between Crossworlds, but Crossworlds has hit, the other Crossworlds mat has Hit and Jiren on it, so I really like that one a lot. But I did really great today. Went 3-1 with this deck. Round 1 I played against Buhan SS3. Was able to dispatch that pretty quickly. Sorry, Ty. And then round 2 I played against Mono Red Vegeta with like the promo Vegeta that you discard a card to make it critical. That scared me a little bit at first, to be honest, because he just discarded a card and made himself 25k double strike critical, and he dropped further Destruction Champa, and it just seemed really threatening. And then after I got a bunch of apes on board, I was pretty safe from his attacks, and he eventually just scooped it up because he didn't feel that he could get through it all. Then round 3, I played against Mira Leader, which is black-green. It actually is very reminiscent of the deck profile that I just put up there, because I gave him some tech choices and ideas before the tournament. So huge shout out to Torin. He ended up getting first place and won the whole thing with Mira. You're welcome. Basically the SS3 Bardock just absolutely demolished me. But you know, Torin's a great player, and he played and executed very well, trying out a new deck, and he liked it a lot. I think the deck list is great, and I like it a lot. And round 4, I played my tournament rival, Mike. Huge shout outs to him, but he was playing Vegito, Ultra Instinct Rush. It was a little bit slower, but he seemed to like the Vegito engine, and that's what he was running today. But I ended up on top of that just because I was able to rush down a little bit faster than he was able to handle. So overall, very great day. So I'm playing SS3 Apes. Now, I don't know if anybody has seen a list like this, and I did talk about a couple weeks ago in one of my deck profiles. My friend Brandon, huge shout outs to him. He was playing a list that was similar to this one. We have about an 8-card difference in what we would actually like to play in the SS3 deck, which is actually pretty a lot. It's a fifth of the deck. But long story short, I basically came up with this idea before basically any of my friends either had the cards or was playing it, and I just dismissed it. And then Brandon just went on a tear for like 2 weeks, and I was like, well, maybe the deck needs to be revisited, and I revisited. I'm so glad I did. I've had so much fun playing it. It feels so safe, especially when you're trying to finish your opponent off with the Great Ape King Vegeta. It just feels like you have all the combo fodder in the world, as well as the ability to defend yourself with blockers and negates, and be able to, you know, go on the offensive as apes are able to do. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So on this side, if you don't know what the Son Goku leader is, it has a permanent that says you can only have up to 6 energy max. And you activate main, you can discard a card from your hand to the drop area, and then you can charge 2 of your life to your energy. Now, you do this instead of charging on your first turn, which is pretty cool because it's an active objection that just immediately goes into play, which is pretty neat. It gets you really far ahead, especially if you go first. And then when your life is at 4 less, you can draw 2 cards to awaken. And on this side, same thing, permanent, you can only have up to 6 energy. And at the end of your turn, you can choose up to 3 of your energy and switch from the active mode. That is so key and so good, and being able to untap our energy so that we have enough to play Nimbus. And if something happens to our King Vegeta, we have a couple energy for combo fodder. And then when this card attacks, you draw a card. So basically, at the end of the turn, this deck's untapping everything. Energy, it's apes, it's just pretty insane. So without further ado, let's get into the list. So start off with the Great Apes. We play 3 absolute defense Great Ape King Vegeta. This is just absolutely a monster. You evolve this for 3, 2 yellow, and 1 energy. It's 25k double strike permanent, gives all yellow Saiyans on your board barrier, so all your apes will get barrier, as well as it reduces the combo cost of all Saiyans in your hand, and that is not color specific. So that if it's red, blue, green, yellow, black, all Saiyans get a combo reduction cost of 1. So basically all great apes in your hand just become 0 cost 10Ks, which is just phenomenal. Then we got Prince of the Grapes himself. If you don't know why I call them grapes, it's because that's what my wife and I would call them, great apes, grapes. But Prince of the Grapes, Vegeta, his card's amazing. 20k crit blocker. When you combo or play this card, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add a great ape to your hand, and then discard a card to the drop area. This card's your main offensive tool, dwindling your opponent's resources down slowly. They either don't want to take the crit or they take it. You get that life down, you get them into a good striking distance, and then shotgun them. Then you play 4 Bardock Will of Iron. This card is immense pressure late game, although admittingly early mid game it's not very good just because of the 20k double strike. The double strike, you don't want to give your opponent a lot of cards because it'll give them more resources to get over your apes and to put threats on board that you have to block. Like, even though the blocking's super nice and everything, if they take out your apes, they're taking out your main line of offense, so you don't want to give them that. And it does have an evolve effect, but you don't really evolve into it ever at all. You just mainly, basically mainly play him on board, and then you swing and you finish your opponent off with the 20k double strike. And then we play 4 Hidden Power Great Ape Tora. I absolutely love this card in this deck for a number of reasons. One, it is another 20k blocker, which is just kind of menacing because you don't want, like, there's basically a chain order in which you want to block with. So like Prince Vegeta, you want to keep the most. Bardock, you want to keep the second most. Tora, you want to keep the third most, and then Fasha, you want to keep the fourth. And the reason is just because each of them gets weaker by effect. So like this has no double strike or critical, but it is still 20k blocker, which is better than Fasha. So if you draw Tora and you have Vegetas and Bardocks in hand, you can charge it. Same thing with the Fasha. And also, it being a great ape is very pivotal because it makes the fact that, like, when King Vegeta hits a board, it makes my hand much more menacing, just because all the 10Ks that now just become 0 cost 10Ks in my hand. And Tora also has a great combo effect. Basically, at the end of the battle, after you combo this card, you can choose one Tora. He is Tora, and you can evolve into him, and then you can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and rest mode and KO it, which is super kind of cool if it actually goes off. And then we play 3 Hidden Power Great Ape Fasha. This card is a 15k blocker, but it's also a great ape. So the number one reason that we play such a high level of great ape counts is to make our marches as deadly as possible. So basically, when we march, we always have apes to vomit to the field and just be like, guess how many blockers I got? And so in this deck, it is extremely consistent at putting out a lot of blockers, which is super annoying for our opponent. And if we draw Fasha and we have to charge something, we just might end up charging Fasha over something like Bardock or Vegeta, which is always super key. And Fasha also has an effect when you combo at the end of the battle, you can evolve into this, and she is also Fasha, so it counts, so you can evolve up into her. And then she can, I believe, target up to 2, actually, of your opponent's battle cards, and then switch them to rest mode, which is pretty good in tandem with Tora. And then on to the support cards, we play 4 Lord of the Great Apes King Vegeta. This card's pretty pivotal just because it searches the Absolute Defense King, and then you evolve up on top of it pretty easily. And if you already have that combo in your hand, you just basically search out Prince Vegeta or anything else that you need. 4 of probably one of the MVPs of the day. No openings, Son Goku. This card's actually pretty incredible in here. Now, I wrote this off a couple weeks ago with my, I believe it was either my Ginyu list and I think it was my Ginyu list, just because like I was awakening too fast with this card. But this card is incredible in this. So there's a number of reasons why I like it. Number one, if I draw it and I'm awakened, I just charge it right away. Number two, if I draw it late game, it's a 10k boost. It's basically for free. And number three, early game, if I see it, it helps me self-awaken. And if I get two of them, I just awaken instantly, which is super good for me because I'll be already at like turn 3 by my second turn. So this card is absolutely really good in this deck. And because I combo with him, like if I summon out the baby King Vegeta, then get the absolute defense King Vegeta, this card now becomes for free. So if I got a couple of them and I'm still not awakened by turn 4, basically I get to then play these for free. So I absolutely love this card. It was kind of the awakening MVP of the day. Then we play for Youthful Bulma. Not a lot to talk about here. She is just pretty obligatory because she is yellow, basically energy boost and Majin Buu. And she's also oddly kind of good when you want to swing and you can like awaken. So let's say your opponent attacks you and you don't want to attack with your leader because you want to like self-awaken with no openings. So basically you swing with Bulma, you can get the damage in with no openings, and then when you draw 2 to awaken, you can swing with your leader, draw another card. It's kind of a cool little combo. And yeah, getting to swing with Bulma and actually doing damage is pretty neat. We play 4 Planet Vegeta. I absolutely love Planet Vegeta. This card's incredibly bonkers just because it searches out any Saiyan of any color in your deck with a cost of 4 or less, which is insane. And at the end of your turn, it untaps all of your Great Apes, which is just absolutely bonkers. We're untapping everything at the end of the turn. Then 4 of like win condition. The more of these you resolve in the game, the more you should probably win the game. March of the Great Ape. And the March of the Grapes is just pretty good. You can choose up to 2 Great Apes in your hand, which you will most likely have to based on the number that we play. Then you just play them to the field. And then if they have a cost of 4 or less, so you can't play Absolute Defense King off this, but you can play like Vegeta, Bardock, Tora, and Fasha. And then you get to draw 2 cards, which is just absolutely absurd. You replace the cards that you put down, and you just get to play basically a total of 8 costs for 4, which is just absolutely crazy. And then we play 4 Flying Nimbus. This card is absolutely defense MVP, aside from more blockers. The real reason that it is just so broken in this deck is like because if we Nimbus on our opponent's turn, which we're always going to have energy once we're awakened to Nimbus, basically the next attack is going to meet a blocker. And so I just, at that point, never actually really have to take any damage from my opponent. And Flying Nimbus is just very good at securing defense against big boards. So, yeah, this card's just super clutch. And then we play 4 obligatory Boost Attack Piccolo. I think you have to play this over Kibito Kai. I really like the Boost Attack in here just because it gets me a draw guaranteed versus returning combo fodder. So I am a very big fan of Boost Attack Piccolo in here. And then lastly, we play 4 Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. This card is actually pretty clutch just because when Absolute Defense Great Ape King Vegeta is on board, this card is basically an X or Super combo, which is absolutely absurd. And the only time this card's like bad is when you basically charge it out of your life, which that didn't happen today, and it hasn't happened very often in testing. And if it does, there's usually a yellow source. I have yet to charge yellow-blue, and we only play 4 other colors other than yellow, and that would be our 2 basic super combos. Yeah, guys, so that's pretty much it for my SS3 apes. I will say there are a couple weaknesses to the deck. The first weakness is if your opponent is able to rush down before you get your defense set up. I think that Mass Saiyan would be pretty good at this. Pan would probably be good at it. And obviously that Vegeta deck I was playing was pretty good at it. I think that could be an issue. The second issue I think that this deck has is basically Ultra Instinct, SS3 Bardock, which I ran into 2 deck variants that played them today. Beat one, lost to the other. and Xenoplane God. So anything that can like run removal that gets around my barrier and just gets rid of my whole field, that can be pretty devastating. But other than that, this deck's got a very good wide range of matchups that are in its favor, and I think that it can contend pretty well. So let me know what you guys think of this deck down below. And this is Marcus from Team Takeover, signing off.